Being able to hit aggressive third shot drops is the most valuable skill you didn't know you needed. When you're watching the pros play on TV, it might not look like they're doing too much with their drops, but I promise you, they're hitting a ton of topspin that gives their opponent a lot of difficulty. I'm going to show you the difference between a normal drop and then an aggressive drop, why it's beneficial, and then how to execute one. When players hit their drops passively, they're just using it as a means to get to the kitchen line. When you hit an aggressive drop, it's setting up a poach for your partner for them to run in and slam the next ball if you can execute that drop. I'm gonna hit 3 normal drops, and then I'm gonna hit 3 aggressive drops. I want you to see if you can see the difference. Now for the aggressive drops. Now check out this perspective as if you were the one receiving the drop. Here's the normal or passive drop. Here we go. So no pressure on it. It's like a floating meatball. Here's the aggressive drop. Here's one more. Look how much action is on that ball. All an aggressive drop is a third shot drop, but with topspin. So if you can hit this shot and get it to land right near the kitchen line, the only answer for your opponent is just to pop it up like that. So like I was saying earlier, if your partner crashes on that, it's a free point every time. Amateur players hit the third shot drop just to get to the kitchen line, while advanced players hit the third shot drop to try and gain an advantage from the baseline. Now we're going to go over the actual form of how to hit an aggressive third shot drop. When players are first learning topspin, they really overcomplicate it and try to do too much. The most common thing I see is players trying to turn over their arm and wrist when they hit the shot. All topspin is if you were to wave hello like this, but doing it sideways like this. Notice my hand is straight up and down like this, and it's not turning over. I'm not using any of this. The next very important part, our paddle head just has to be down. So when I start this shot, I'm starting it down here, and I'm simply waving hello. We don't want to start it sideways, because then we can't really generate spin. We generate spin from being all the way down and all the way up, just like this. A great way to practice this is to simply go up to a net, work on having your paddle head down, and notice I'm just brushing, barely hitting the net, like this. When I teach people this shot, they go, it's not what we want to do. Barely brush. Lastly, we want to combine that motion, but with a full stroke and finishing over our shoulder. So it would look like this. This allows us to hit entirely through the ball. If we were to just do this motion, it has to be near perfect where it's going into the net. This full stroke motion allows the ball to travel. If you purchase anything from tanner.pickleball.com, when you go to checkout, type Tanner in the discount code section, and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Not only does using the code help you, it also helps me by giving me a small kickback on every person that uses it, helping fund my professional pickleball career. The paddle I use is the Carbon 1X 16 millimeter, and I put 4 inches of lead tape only on the throat. I love the way it performs. Now we're gonna play some points out. I want you to see how easily I can approach the kitchen line by hitting these aggressive thirds. Now you get the perspective of being on the receiving end of it. Perfect drop. You can see how many free points I'm getting by hitting the drop and following it in with a big punch. Now I'm going to play some points out by only hitting the more passive third shots, and we'll see how much harder it is for me to get to the kitchen line. If I were you and I was anywhere at that 4.5 level or below, I would put a ton of emphasis on having aggressive third shot drops. I can assure you this shot will be something that your opponents are super unfamiliar with. They haven't seen it before and will not be able to handle it. For the next week, I want you to go out to the courts for like 20 minutes a day, have your partner at the kitchen line, have you at the baseline, and just keep practicing hitting those aggressive drops until you get the hang of it. By the end of the 5 days, you'll exponentially increase your level because you're working on something you never even thought of before.